Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video we will be looking at AQA A-Level Psychology Specimen 2 Paper 3 Exemplar Answers for Gender, which you need to know for AQA A-Level Psychology. I hope you enjoy this video and find it helpful. Let's get started. Please note that these answers have been produced with knowledge of the mark scheme but have not been approved by the mark scheme themselves. There are 3 assessment objectives, AOs, in psychology. In this video they are color-coded. AO1 Knowledge, purple. AO2 Application, blue. AO3 Evaluation, red and green. Question 1. Briefly outline the biological explanation for gender identity disorder. 2 marks. The biological explanation for gender identity disorder suggests that gender identity disorder is the result of over- or underexposure to androgens in the womb, overexposure for females, underexposure for males, and consequent masculinization or feminization or neurobiological abnormality resulting from either genes or prenatal stress, and links to handedness. Question 2. Explain 2 limitations of the biological explanation for gender identity disorder. 6 marks. A limitation of biological explanations for gender dysphoria is their lack of scientific rigor. It's difficult to establish a clear cause and effect relationship between biological factors and gender dysphoria. For example, while studies may identify differences in brain structure or hormone levels between individuals with and without gender dysphoria, it's challenging to determine whether these differences are the cause or the result of gender dysphoria. It could be that these biological variations pre-existed and contributed to the development of gender dysphoria, or they could be a consequence of living with gender dysphoria and its associated stress and experiences. This is a limitation because it suggests that the lack of a definitive cause and effect relationship and longitudinal studies undermines the scientific validity of biological explanations. A limitation of biological explanation of gender dysphoria is that they suffer from biological reductionism. These explanations focus on specific biological factors, such as the size of a particular brain structure or hormone levels, as primary determinants of gender identity. By emphasizing these biological components, reductionist accounts can overlook the complex interplay of psychological, social, and environmental factors that also significantly contribute to the development of gender dysphoria. For instance, while differences in brain structure might correlate with gender dysphoria, they don't account for the diverse personal experiences, cultural influences, and individual psychological processes that shape gender identity. This is a limitation because it suggests that biological explanations alone are insufficient for fully understanding gender dysphoria. Read the item and answer the question that follows. Social psychologists are writing a report about their research into children's toys. They write, parents still tend to buy pink for girls. In fact, it is hard to find any adverts aimed at girls that are not pink and fluffy. For boys, parents tend to buy more competitive or combat-type toys. Good against evil is a common theme in adverts aimed at boys. Even at school, playground activities are different. As children get older, boys and girls tend to have more shared interests like music. Question 3. Discuss the influence of culture and media on the development of gender roles. Refer to the report above in your answer. 16 marks. Social learning theorists see gender role behavior as largely determined by the environment and socialization. 2 key areas through which social norms are transmitted and communicated are culture and the media. These may be linked in the sense that the media, TV, film, etc., reflect and confirm dominant cultural norms of gender roles. Culture in the context of its influence on gender roles refers to the shared beliefs, practices, rulers, norms, customs, morals and values and child-rearing practices that bind a particular group of people together. It plays a foundational role in shaping gender roles by establishing norms for acceptable behavior based on gender. In many cultures, traditional roles often assign men to be providers and protectors, and women to be caretakers and homemakers. These roles are often passed down through generations and reinforced through religion, family structures, education, and social institutions. Gender roles vary widely across cultures. For example, in some indigenous cultures, there are recognized roles beyond the binary of male and female. What is considered masculine or feminine behavior can differ dramatically depending on cultural context. Over time, cultures change. Movements for gender equality and LGBTQ+ rights have influenced a shift in how gender roles are perceived and enacted. The report refers to culture effects on gender roles. As parents reinforce gender roles, as parents still tend to buy pink for girls, parents tend to buy more competitive or combat-type toys. There is schools reinforcement for different activities as playground activities are different. Margaret Mead conducted the Sex and Temperament in Three Primitive Societies, 1935, study. Mead aimed to explore whether gender roles, masculinity and femininity, are biologically determined or culturally constructed. The study was conducted in Papua New Guinea in the early 1930s. Participant observation and ethnographic fieldwork. Mead lived among and observed three tribal societies, the Arapesh, the Mundaguma, and the Chambuli, now Chambri. She lived with each group for several months and observed their daily lives, interviewed members, and took detailed notes on child-rearing practices, gender expectations, division of labor, and personality traits of men and women. They found that Arapesh, both men and women were gentle, cooperative, and nurturing. They shared child-rearing responsibilities. Traits considered feminine in Western cultures were valued in both sexes. Mundaguma, both sexes were aggressive, competitive, and emotionally detached. Social life was marked by tension and hostility. Traits considered masculine in Western cultures were dominant in both men and women. Chambuli, there was a reversal of traditional Western gender roles. Women were dominant, managerial, and assertive, took charge of economic and decision-making activities, and men were more emotional, dependent, and concerned with appearance. This society illustrated how gender roles could be dramatically different and still function effectively. Mead concluded that gender roles are not biologically fixed but are socially and culturally constructed. What a society considers masculine or feminine behavior varies widely from one culture to another. The study challenged the universal validity of Western gender norms, suggesting that people learn their gender roles through cultural socialization, not biology. It supported the idea that nature, biology, plays a lesser role than nurture, culture, in shaping human behavior, especially regarding gender. A limitation of Mead's study as cross-cultural research into the influence of culture on gender roles is that the study suffers from researcher bias. Mead, 1935, later changed her belief and accepted that gender roles were predominantly biological in nature. According to Booth, 1975, this change's view was due to Mead marrying a man with traditional views, who she later went on to have her own child with. This is a limitation because it suggests that the findings might not be entirely objective and could be influenced by the researcher's own beliefs or experiences. Media, such as television, film, advertising, video games, and social media, both reflects and shapes societal views about gender. Media often portrays men as assertive, aggressive, and emotionally reserved, while women are shown as nurturing, emotional, and appearance-focused. These stereotypes can limit individuals' perceptions of their own potential and others. Underrepresentation of women, non-binary, and transgender people in media, or their portrayal in narrow roles, contributes to societal bias. More diverse and realistic representations help challenge traditional gender roles and promote inclusivity. Children's shows, books, and toys often reinforce traditional gender roles early in life, shaping gender identity and expectations from a young age. Social media provides a platform for both reinforcing stereotypes, e.g., influencer beauty standards, and challenging them, e.g., feminist, LGBTQ+, and body-positive content. The report refers to stereotypical media representations, as adverts aimed girls are pink and fluffy. Adverts aimed as boys have a common good against evil. A strength of research into media influence on gender roles is that there is research to suggest that the media may play a role in reinforcing widespread social stereotypes concerning male and female behavior. Fernham and Farraher, 2000, found that men were more likely to be shown in an autonomous and authoritative roles within a professional setting, whereas women were often seen occupying familial roles with domestic settings. This is a strength because it suggests that research into media influence on gender roles has empirical support, demonstrating a clear link between media content and the reinforcement of societal stereotypes. A limitation of research into media influence on gender roles is that there is research to contradict the idea that media influences are primary influence that affect gender roles and stereotypes. Durkin, 1985, argues that even very young children are not passive and uncritical recipients of media coverage. In fact, norms within the child's family may be the bigger determinant on the child's gender attitudes and behavior. If media representations confirm existing gender norms held by the family hen, these are likely to be reinforced in the child's mind. If not, then such representations are likely to be rejected. This is a limitation because it suggests that the influence of media on gender roles may be less direct and more complex than initially assumed. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more content like this. Bye.